Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm back from my birthday now, so that's it. No more birthday stuff for me, back as usual. Stick to the plan, video every day, live stream twice a week for Patreon members only. Let's get started. So I thought I'd have a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart to begin with. If we base this around what we're actually seeing now, we're looking at a breakdown of a 4-hourly trend. Not confirmed as far as trend is concerned. No death crosses, not quite yet. Actually, as I spoke to earlier, there is a death cross on the simple moving averages, not on the exponentials. But it doesn't look particularly friendly for anyone who's sort of like bullish on that chart. On that 4-hourly time frame. However, the daily is catching a bounce on this 50 exponential. Now, the big gap between the 50 and the 200 is to the tune of about 4%. So this does mean that if we do lose this area, we could be looking at further downside on this chart, which normally would be good for all altcoins, and that's kind of what we should expect, really. Until we break down from it, though, we shouldn't really get too excited, but the 4-hourly does look like it wants to go down there, not yet confirmed. We're at support right now. Support might break, and then obviously we'll see continuation. So that would be good. That would definitely be good for altcoins. Absolutely. That would be it. Now, total market cap too, so this is all altcoins excluding Bitcoin. It's got Ethereum and lumped in on this one. Looks pretty good also. Trending up really quite high and hard. Golden crosses on all the moving averages on that daily. So this looks good. Looks good for continuation. Does look strong. No bearish divergence on the shorter term time frame. So to be fair, looking for continuation on that as well. And finally, we'll have a look at the Dixie before we go into Bitcoin itself. Dixie, fresh death cross, holding a ascending triangle formation on this 4-hourly with the Bollinger Band center and then the death cross retest over here. So again, 50-50, probably arguably less than 50-50. There is a chance of a bounce that will take us up to 106.2 to be fair, and then back down to the support 105.3. So Dixie sort of fluttering around these areas. I wouldn't be particularly bullish on this one, although a move up in the short term would not be, I wouldn't rule that out. In fact, I probably favour that. But that's not really a tradable situation. If anything, we'd look to see the rejection on this 4-hourly and then, get excited after then. So it's a small move up and then potentially continuation down. So it looks good across the board for all markets, I would say. Actually, just one last thing. We'll have a look at the S&P. S&P actually broke out here, so a big move down on the breakdown of the symmetrical triangle and the descending triangle, and back up above the 200. This is the 4-hourly. So have a look at the daily and see how strong this looks. Again, it looks pretty good to me, I have to say. One drive of hidden bearish divergence, and we could be looking to trend back up, to be honest. So your stocks look good, which reflects, I suppose, the weakness in the dollar. Right, let's get into Bitcoin then, because that's what you're all here for. So again, we're looking for a small move up, I would say, on the Dixie. So that might mean a small move down on Bitcoin today, and then obviously crypto markets as well. So we have recently lost the 10 exponential, the 200, the 20 moving average. Bollinger Bands are pinching at this point now. So to be fair, this does look like it wants to spike down a little now. Maybe 36,300. The main problem for Bitcoin is if we do lose this area on the 4-hourly, big drop now, down about 8%, maybe even down to the Holy Grail, which is back down to the previous resistance that might have flipped to support. Again, intermediate drops along the way. You could probably even put a trend line in around this area, just around 34,000 as well. So maybe we hold within this range. We'll see. We'll see how the day unfolds. As far as the daily is concerned, it was super bullish, trended all the way up to the 38,000, which was like I suppose one of our major top targets, to be honest, on Bitcoin. We did that with 3 drives of bearish divergence on Money Flow Index and on the RSI. So if it does want to come down and cool off, it's absolutely perfectly fine. We saw the launch from the avoidance of the death cross over here, and it actually powered Bitcoin all the way up to a 39% move. So, we've effectively been going up to the tune of 40% from where we were not even that long ago, like a month ago, really. So a consolidation or a pullback of any description is absolutely perfectly fine on this one. Then you can even be bullish all the way down to 28,008 or 900. Checking in on that weekly where we had the trend signal on the Ichimoku cloud, which is obviously still in play. That would only cancel out if the blue crosses the red, which again on a weekly would take at least all the week to confirm. And a closure back down around what would be 27,680. So you'd have to close the week down below that level, at that level or lower, to cancel out the already existing trend signal on this one. Based on how Bitcoin likes to put its tops in, significant tops, you have very overheated reads on the money flow index. 1, 2, 3. They've marked significant tops in the last bull market. Big one here, obviously. Not quite here, but more or less a significant top. That's where an alt season kicked in, really. So all kinds of things went kind of crazy. We are quite hot over here. I mean, when we were pushing the comfort level, that did mark the all-time high. We also marked a peak over here, which again doesn't really reflect. So it's not perfect. It's getting and it's feeling relatively toppy. The next major extension on this run would be around the lower 40s, maybe 41, 2, 3 thereabouts. Again, another few $1,000s on the price of Bitcoin. For that, but it's like we've been saying. A range between 20 and 40,000 is most likely going to be the Bitcoin range for this portion of the uptrend, which again, when in doubt, zoom out. The all-time low hit down here. We've basically been in a steady uptrend now for a year, right? It might not feel like it to many people, but we have. Altcoins, not so much. Some have, most haven't. So yeah, we've been in a steady uptrend for about a year, and we've moved up towards the top of the range. Not quite got there yet, but basically within a few thousand, the top of the range. So, long story short, as we wake up on Monday and we're looking to take trades, I would be looking at certain altcoins that we've looked at on the Patreons, and maybe other things that we've highlighted that haven't yet quite moved, that do present decent setups of their own. I would be watching Bitcoin to see if any pullback breaks those altcoin charts. If it pulls them down to support, that's great. If it breaks them down below that, perhaps leave that one alone. It's been an amazing month now or more of epic gains. And I've been saying for over a week now, taking profit on these trades is probably the best way. As we can already see, there is a good chance of continuation based on the dominance chart breaking down, based on a continuation down on the Dixie. All of that looks good, and obviously total market cap 2 and obviously 3 is going to look good as well. So there is evidence to say that we're going to get continuation, absolutely. But right now, probably best to watch Monday unfold, see what happens in Dixie. If we get that move up, it'll obviously pull Bitcoin down, I would imagine. And then if we get that rejection, then we can think about entering appropriate trades, if and when we get rejection from that level. So today is a watch and wait kind of day. Probably not really looking to take any kind of trades, really. Just want to see how this week begins. It's too early, really, to make any kind of calls, but that's my expectation. Small move up on the Dixie, small move down on Bitcoin, moving into supports, ready for new positions, and hopefully we'll start to see continuation maybe as soon as later on today, if not tomorrow. That's my expectation, but that doesn't mean taking positions right now on a Monday morning. That's kind of crazy. Let's just see how everything else performs throughout the day into the American markets opening. That's the key, really, because it's a 24-hour market, right? I always say trading is like fishing. You can't just rush a fish to the hook. You got to sit and wait. To sit in and wait for something to happen. We expect there to be fish in that river. We expect them to bite at some point, but we can't rush it. You've got to let it happen. So Mondays are always a day to make a plan. And see where we go. And again, after 5 or 6 weeks now of continuous pumps across most altcoins at this point now, and Bitcoin also, probably best to just to see if it wants to have a pullback, because if it does, it's absolutely fair, more than fair. This market has been extremely generous to us, and I would hate to see people get buying peaks that might not materialize, in case this setup that I'm potentially looking for, which again is not yet confirmed, does not fulfill, and we actually do then at that point consolidate, and this marking the end of what could have been an alt season and may even be referred to in future terms as a small alt season. But right now, yeah, I think we're halfway through an alt season. I expect there to be another half to follow, but that is not going to come immediately. Not from what I can see. I think a little reset and then continuation is most likely going to be the outcome here, and that's my preference. And I'm going to see if that setup actually happens. And if it doesn't happen, no big deal. I didn't take any positions, not long, not short. Waiting to see if my expectations of the market are correct, and there might not be. Let's face it. There is no crystal ball over here, but there is definitely patience and caution. For the day, that's all. Don't want to overtrade, absolutely not. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Again, if you want to join the Patreon, there are links in the description of this video. Otherwise, I just hope you have a nice day and take it easy.